When the pink slip becomes your parachute. Have you ever noticed how we talk about getting fired, let go, downsized, separated? All these gentle euphemisms for what feels like anything but gentle when it happens to you. I recently had the profound privilege of interviewing Margaret Hocker-Shaw, the visionary behind transformative work supporting Black women professionals navigating career transitions. Her insights have fundamentally shifted how I understand professional identity, particularly for those facing systems never designed with them in mind. Margaret isn't just creating resources, she's architecting a revolution of self worth that's rippling across industries and changing how we define success itself. Her unwavering commitment to amplifying voices that have been systematically silenced is nothing short of extraordinary, and the world is measurably better because of her work. Here's what struck me most from our conversation. We've been taught that a pink slip is the end, of failure, a mark of shame. But what if it's actually the beginning of something extraordinary? What if that pink slip is actually a parachute, not a golden parachute like the ones CEOs float away on with millions in severance, but something potentially more valuable, a pink parachute, one that might just carry you to exactly where you're meant to be. Let me tell you about Letitia Clark. Letitia founded the Pink Parachute Diaries podcast after witnessing something disturbing happen repeatedly in corporate America. Talented Black women losing their jobs while colleagues with less skill, less experience, and often less education sailed forward with ease. These women weren't just dealing with unemployment, they were battling workplace racism, invisibility, isolation, and the crushing fear that their individual failure would somehow reinforce stereotypes about an entire community. I remember Letitia telling me about one particular Tuesday afternoon when she sat across from a brilliant marketing executive who had just been restructured out of her position. The light was gone from her eyes, Letitia said. Not just the job, they had taken her belief in herself. But Letitia refused to accept this narrative. She saw vibrant, brilliant women disappearing, not just from companies, but from themselves. And she said, no, not on her watch. So she created something revolutionary, a space for authentic storytelling, a platform where journeys of resilience could be documented so no one would feel alone, where connection could flourish through community building. The result? The Pink Parachute Diaries became an influential space, amplifying underrepresented voices and inspiring countless Black professionals to embrace authenticity over assimilation, directly challenging oppressive narratives within corporate America. Now, I want to pause here for a moment because there's something profound happening in Letitia's work that applies to all of us, regardless of our background. She recognized that our worth is not, cannot be defined by external validation, especially from systems that were never built for us in the first place. Let that sink in for a moment. Your worth is not defined by external validation, especially from systems that were never built for you. How many of us have twisted ourselves into pretzels trying to fit into workplaces that fundamentally don't value who we actually are? How many of us have internalized the message that our value is tied to acceptance or recognition from industry steeped in bias? This reminds me of Paula Anderson's story, which is nothing short of transformative. Paula exemplifies leadership by showing up unapologetically as herself in spaces historically unwelcoming to Black women leaders. She faced systemic exclusion, microaggressions, and constant pressure to conform or shrink herself in order to fit. Paula told me about a meeting where a senior executive interrupted her presentation to ask if she was the diversity hire. The room fell silent. In that moment, Paula had a choice to laugh it off, to shrink, to perform the emotional labor of educating yet another person about basic human dignity. Instead, she did something remarkable. She looked him directly in the eyes and said, "No, I'm the qualified hire, and I'd like to finish my presentation now." The power in that room shifted visibly. After repeated attempts at fitting into hostile environments led only to exhaustion rather than advancement or even job security, Paula made a radical choice. She chose self validation. She rejected respectability politics in favor of full authenticity. She built alliances with others facing similar barriers. And something remarkable happened. Her presence empowered other Black professionals to do the same. Her story catalyzed broader conversations about equity. As a guest on influential podcasts discussing these issues openly, she helped normalize vulnerability as strength within professional circles. Paula's example has shifted organizational cultures toward greater inclusion and inspired listeners nationwide. Because when one person refuses to diminish themselves to make others comfortable, it creates permission for everyone to show up more fully. But let's be honest, this path isn't easy. It's terrifying to step into your full self, especially when you've been conditioned to believe that your economic survival depends on being palatable to systems of power. This brings us to Rashenda Booker, whose story illuminates another crucial truth. Layoffs can be a launching pad, not a dead end. Rashonda reimagined what achievement looks like after leaving behind toxic workspaces where her identity was undervalued or actively suppressed for years. She faced chronic stress from code switching, the pressure to be twice as good, and the fear that embracing her wholeness would cost her professional advancement or stability. I remember the day I got laid off, Rashonda told me. I sat in my car in the parking garage for 2 hours just staring at the wall. I felt like I had failed, like everything I had worked for was gone. She laughed, a full, rich sound. That was the best day of my life. I just didn't know it yet. After years spent trying unsuccessfully to fit, Rashonda found herself burned out. But then she had a revelation that changed everything. True success meant honoring every part of herself, even if it meant starting anew outside traditional corporate structures. So she prioritized the mental health over perfectionism. She documented her journey publicly via storytelling platforms, and she asked a question that should be written on billboards everywhere. What if success without sacrifice isn't just possible, but necessary? Rashonda achieved both personal fulfillment and professional growth without sacrificing peace or integrity. She became a recognized advocate for redefining achievement standards within communities most impacted by systemic injustice. And she helped spark dialogue around mental health and holistic well being among professionals navigating uncertain futures. Her story reminds us that many successful businesses and fulfilling careers have started after someone was let go. What feels like an ending can actually be the beginning of something more authentic and empowering. But here's what all three of these remarkable women understand: you cannot walk this path alone. Community and storytelling are powerful tools for healing and for building new futures together. The isolation after a layoff is real. The shame can be overwhelming. The questions about your value, your future, your place in the world, they can consume you if you let them. But connection breaks these cycles. Sharing experiences fosters hope while reminding us we're not alone in our struggles or ambitions. When Letitia created the Pink Parachute Diaries, when Paula spoke her truth on podcasts, when Rashonda documented her journey publicly, They weren't just healing themselves, they were creating lifelines for others. This is why Margaret Hocker-Shaw's work is so vital. She understands that when we create spaces for authentic storytelling, we're not just documenting experiences, we're transforming them. We're taking what could be isolating moments of pain and turning them into bridges between people. We're challenging narratives that say our value is tied to our employment status or our ability to conform. I want to be clear about something. This isn't just about positive thinking or finding the silver lining. The systems these women are navigating are real. The biases are documented. The harm is measurable. But what these stories show us is that even within unjust systems, we have the power to redefine success on our own terms. We have the ability to create communities that validate our experiences. We can build platforms that amplify voices that have been systematically silenced. And sometimes getting that pink slip is exactly what we need to find our way to where we're meant to be. So I challenge you today. Examine where you placed your worth. Is it in the hands of systems that were never designed to value you fully? Is it tied to a title that could disappear with the next economic downturn? What would happen if you reclaim that power? What might you create if you stopped asking for permission to exist in your fullness? The truth is, we're living in a world that desperately needs what only you can bring: your unique perspective, your authentic voice, your uncompromised brilliance, not the sanitized, shrunken version of yourself that fits neatly into someone else's box. When Letitia created the Pink Parachute Diaries, when Paula refused to make herself small, when Rashonda prioritized wholeness over external validation, they weren't just changing their own lives. They were creating possibility models that ripple outward, touching lives they'll never even know about. That pink slip you're dreading, or perhaps holding in your hands right now, it might just be the universe conspiring to set you free. Free from environments that demand your diminishment, free to create work that honors your whole self, free to build communities where others can do the same. The parachute is opening. The question is, will you have the courage to jump?